The MYFORD University Podcast, Episode 4, Presentational Speaking. Welcome, colleagues, to MYFORD University. I'm George Sloan, founder and dean of this alternative institution of higher learning. Here we don't hand out paper diplomas, we hand out something better, tools, insights, skills that you can use right away to improve your personal and professional life. In my case, I'm driven in a Ford F-150, hence the name. Spend a lot of time in my truck listening to podcasts, lectures, and business strategy breakdowns when I'm commuting. It's a long commute. Don't really like it, but it is what it is, so I make the most of it. So that's when I decided that I was going to share what I've learned and what I've been thinking with others who are looking to get higher education without having to deal with wasting years of your life and hundreds of thousands of dollars. This show is for the ambitious, the curious, and self-starters who know that education is about what you can do, not about what you can recite. With that, let's get started. Today's thesis, presentational speaking, the skill you need but probably didn't have. So let me be blunt. If you're a college graduate, an MBA, or a PhD, you should know how to give a clear and confident presentation. And yet, I've sat through many presentations from folks with multiple degrees, and I couldn't help but wonder, how did anyone not teach you how to do this? So let's break it down. We're going to explore what presentational speaking is, why it matters more than ever, and why people fear it. Additionally, we're going to look at how to get better faster, and I'm going to give you 8 tips plus 1 bonus that'll make you a much better speaker by the end of this episode. So first, what is presentational speaking? It's not just standing at a podium with slides. It's any time that you're pitching an idea, leading a meeting, teaching a concept, speaking at an event, giving a toast, or even running a Zoom call with your team. Hey, we've all been there. We've had to do all these things. Sometimes you're not even conscious that you have to do them, but you are doing them. And when you are, you're doing presentational speaking. So if you're trying to explain something, persuade, motivate, or teach a group of people, then you are presenting. The problem is most people aren't very good at it. Thing is, you can get better at it. Just takes a little bit of practice. And with the right tools and preparation, which we're going to give you here, you'll do a lot better every time you do it, and each time will get better than the last. So, why presentational speaking matters? Let's talk about that. Here's what most people don't realize. If you can't communicate it, it doesn't matter that you know it. You could have the best idea in the world, but if you mumble through it with bad slides, zero energy, no one will care. That doesn't mean that you go and you try to razzle-dazzle them with bullshit. What you need to do is put together a comprehensive, clear, and coherent presentation. And we're going to, again, help you with that. On the flip side, someone with less experience but better communication skills will get the deal, the job, or the funding. Good presentation skills equal visibility, credibility, and opportunity. It's really that simple. And we like making things simple here. Why people struggle. Let's talk about that one. You've heard it before. People fear public speaking more than death. Crazy, right? But it makes sense. It's vulnerable. You feel judged. You're the center of attention, sometimes when you don't want to be. But here's what I tell people. You're not scared of speaking. You're scared of sucking. You're afraid you're going to bomb. So what do? That fear goes away when you prepare the right way. I've said this many times to many people. Presentational speaking is easy if you're prepared. If you know your presentation, you know your material, it's like having a conversation with a friend. It just turns out it's a group of friends, a room full of friends. So let's talk about how to do that. Here are the 8 commandments of presentational speaking, plus one bonus tip I love, and it's probably the most powerful thing I'm going to tell you today. So stick in here for it. 1, know your audience. I can't tell you how important this is. Before you even think about your slides, ask the following questions. Who am I speaking to? What do they care about? Very important. What do they struggle with? And what do they already know? You want to listen carefully. You want to speak to them, not at them. Make it about their world, not yours. This is true of almost any marketing communication, for example. You got to know your audience. Are they very sophisticated? Are they neophytes or new to things? What level are they at? And if you don't overpower your slides and you keep them more of a rough outline, you can speak up or down. And that's not talking down to somebody. It's coming down to the level of their understanding. You don't want to go over their heads. You want to make the complex simple. It's just a question of what level are they on. If you're in a room full of experts, that might be a different story. But if it's beginners, you're going to handle it much, much differently. So think about who you're talking about and who you're talking to. Okay, I said this one before. Know your material. That's number 2. Could you give the talk without slides or notes? This is super, super, super important. If you rely on the technology, you can die on the technology. If the presentation equipment, audiovisual equipment goes down, can you stand up there and speak extemporaneously? That's speaking off the cuff. Can you do that? You should be able to do that. Because if you do, you'll have an air of confidence that even if everything goes wrong, you still can give the presentation. So if you could talk without the slides or notes, you're in good shape. If not, you are not ready. You don't need to memorize every word, but you need to know your structure, your key points, and your flow. That's the other thing. Again, as I said before, sometimes you need to ramp it up and sometimes you need to amp it down because it depends on who you're talking to. You might have been told you're going into experts and you start to discover that they're a bunch of beginners. So you don't want to be stuck with one complete presentation where it's word for word. You want a general outline, talking points that you can go and pivot to where you need to go to. You need to know those key points and you need to know your flow. So you should own that content so well that you could talk about it over coffee, not just on a stage. And that's what I was talking about before, which gets into number 3. Make it a friendly conversation. That's a big one. Don't be stiff. Don't perform. Just talk to people like you would over lunch. And then here's another important aspect to this. Use questions to keep them engaged. You've been there. You've seen this. Raise your hand if this sounds familiar. Have you ever had this happen? You want to draw them in. You want to get them to, identify with what you're saying. You want to strike a chord or a nerve with them. And they go, hey, wait a minute. I'll pay a little more attention because I've been there before. I've had that problem. Let me see what this guy can tell me that's a little bit different. So that kind of interaction makes people feel seen and it puts you and them at ease. Again, they're a little uncomfortable. You're more uncomfortable, but doing this, you will get them and you at ease. Number 4, be personable. Don't just read. I say to my wife all the time with what she's working on, your personality is what's going to make the difference in your videos. Be friendly, be personable, and show that energy and enthusiasm. And she does it. Nobody wants to be read to, especially by someone that's staring at the slides the whole time. They want to be talked to. You want to make eye contact. You want to move a little bit. You want to smile. You want to let your personality show. Be a real person, not a robot reading bullet points. I think back to some of the best presentations I saw Steve Jobs do. Typically, they were one-word slides, and then he just went from there. Now, he made it look like it wasn't rehearsed, like he was just having a conversation with you. But in reality, he knew everything he was going to say. He knew every place he was going to go. But he made it look and feel and flow naturally. Okay, number 5, always end early. This is a big one. It's nice to be able to tell them, hey, I'm going to give you 5 minutes, 10 minutes back. You got to respect their time. If you've got 20 minutes, you want to aim for 16 to 17. Tell them you're giving a few minutes back. I just mentioned that. It builds trust and it makes you look sharp and prepared. Nobody has ever complained about a presentation ending early. But I can tell you this, if it runs over and it's not interesting, engaging, it's more boring and dull, they're going to complain about it. They're going to talk about it over lunch. They're at a workshop series for the day. It's not good to run over. Always end a little early. Number 6, keep your slides simple. I love the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. And again, as I joked in one of my previous ones, it's not KISS. It's not Gene, Paul, Chris, and Ace. It is an acronym. Keep it simple, stupid. You know what I mean here. You've seen these presentations where they look like eye charts. I mentioned Steve Jobs a moment ago. One-word slides or just a phrase. Slides should reinforce your message, not compete with them. You want to use fewer words, you want to use clean visuals, and you want to use blank space. If you have to, break it into 2 slides. Don't sit there and make it an eye chart. Don't make it look like a disclaimer. You want to make sure that it's there and it reinforces your message. It gives a visual cue to people based on what it is that you're saying. Less is more. You are the presentation, not the slides. The slides are just a supporting character. It's like people that overuse garlic. Garlic is supposed to be an accent, not an entree. Same thing here. Number 7, use a clear structure. I'm going to tell you a great model here. This one is a very simple one. It's easy to remember. And if you ever feel like you're stuck, this is where you go. This is your fallback if you have to. It's called the tell 'em method. It's one of my favorites. It's simple and powerful. Here it is. Tell them what you're going to tell them. That's step 1. Step 2, tell them. Step 3, tell them what you just told them. So you're giving them a preview, you're giving them the meat, and then you're giving them a reminder of what it was you told them. This method creates flow. The repetition is good because, as we know, repetition is the mother of learning, and it gives clarity. It also keeps you organized and your audience on track and engaged. Again, it's a simple model. If you ever get stuck, if you know your material, you can pivot right into this model, although it's a model that stands on its own. Okay, number 8, practice in front of people. You can't get better just in your head. I mean, yes, you can stand in front of a mirror, and that really helps, but the best thing to do is have a small audience. You got to get used to looking at people and making eye contact. Practice your talk out loud in front of coworkers, friends, or even your mirror, as I just mentioned. Anywhere, just practice it. Actors do this all the time. So what you want to do is rehearse it many times so you feel comfortable. Again, what if you dropped your notes? You want to have the whole thing that you've gone through. It's almost like muscle memory. You want to be able to turn on a dime and be able to give the presentation no matter what. When you do this practicing in front of other people, you're going to catch your pacing issues. You're going to have awkward transitions that you're able to eliminate. You're going to look for your weak points, and it's going to improve fast. I would also say this. Make sure that you anticipate what possible questions you might get. They should have been included in your presentation, but always be ready to answer some of the most obvious questions that someone might have. So practice doing that. Okay, bonus tip. Probably the most important thing I'm going to tell you once you get the other things down. Okay? Always start with a story, not a joke. Jokes don't always land well. Your sense of humor might be a little too dry. Mine is. You don't want to do that. You want to start with a story. Why do you want to start with a story? I mentioned that earlier. You want to get them to identify with you, and you want to get them to perk up and listen. Hey, he's talking about a problem that I've got. So telling them a story to open, to get them engaged, is better than a joke. It's a big one. It's a big, important one. Everyone tells you to open with a joke, but if you're not naturally funny, it can flop really hard. Instead, start with a short story from your own life, something real, something human, something that they can connect with and identify with. It draws them in, it relaxes you, and it builds instant credibility. Try this. Let me tell you about the first time I completely bombed a presentation. Now I've got your attention. Think about that. So you're getting them on the same level with you, and you're about to take a journey as you're communicating to them. Okay, common mistakes to avoid. This is a quick fire round. Avoid reading slides, talking too fast, having no clear structure, overloading slides. Again, no eye charts, people. Going overtime, end it early, and apologizing or downplaying yourself. Avoid these, and you're already ahead of 90% of presenters who are out there. Some closing thoughts. Presentational speaking is not magic. It's a skill. It's a skill that you can develop. And like any other skill, you can build it, and you can build it fast, which is one of our mottos here. Learn it fast and apply it faster. Again, start with knowing your audience. Start with owning your material. Start by speaking like a human, keeping it simple, and practicing like you mean it. Remember, you're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to be clear and useful. That's what makes any presenter and their presentation effective. So, this is a quick one today. There you have it. We've reached the end. I hope that you enjoyed this breakdown on presentational speaking. If you've been avoiding opportunities to speak, I hope this gives you confidence to step up. Again, practice makes better. You're only going to get better if you do it. You got to apply it. And if you've got a story about your first time speaking or a lesson that you learned the hard way, please share it with me. I'd love to hear it. I've heard a lot of them before, but it never gets old. It's nice hearing how the presentation equipment broke down, or I lost the notes, the slides got messed up. I love hearing those stories and hearing how people were able to rise like the phoenix from the ashes and turn around and give a solid presentation because they were properly prepared. So again, I'm George Sloan, your guide for learning and development here at MYFORD University. Let's keep upskilling, people, without the wasted time and price tag of traditional college. I hope this has helped you. Please don't keep it a secret. Share the episode, share my newsletter, share the blog. Again, myforduniversity.com is where you're going to find all this stuff. And I'm going to probably be dropping these on Tuesdays. Try to come up with a new skill, a new tool, a new insight, some new concepts sometimes to get you to be able to use them right away and get you up to speed. Thanks for riding along with me, and I will see you next time.